Rebuttal to atheist claim that God's inference is neither scientific nor rational, it has no tested base. An atheist claim that the inference to God's existence is neither scientific nor rational, and that it is based purely on belief without any tested foundation, reflects a misunderstanding of both the nature of inference and the type of evidence that supports theistic belief. In reality, the inference to God's existence is both rational and supported by strong philosophical, empirical, and experiential evidence. While the existence of God may not be testable in the same way that a scientific hypothesis is, it does not follow that the inference to God's existence is irrational or unfounded. Here, I will demonstrate why the inference to God's existence is both scientifically informed and rational, based on multiple lines of evidence, including cosmology, philosophy of science, fine-tuning, consciousness, and moral reality. I will also address the misunderstanding that belief in God is based solely on blind faith. 1. The nature of inference and rationality. First, it's important to clarify what it means to make an inference. In philosophy and science, inference refers to drawing conclusions from available evidence. There are two main types of inference: deductive inference, where the conclusion necessarily follows from the premises, e.g., in mathematics or formal logic. Inductive inference, where the conclusion is supported by evidence but is not guaranteed. This type of reasoning is used frequently in science, where conclusions are based on observations and evidence but remain open to revision as new data emerge. When we infer God's existence, we are engaging in abductive reasoning, often called inference to the best explanation. This form of reasoning is neither unscientific nor irrational. In fact, it is widely used in scientific practice. Abductive reasoning involves evaluating the available evidence and concluding which explanation best accounts for that evidence. This approach can apply to both scientific and metaphysical questions. The inference to God's existence is not made in isolation from evidence. Rather, it arises from an examination of various lines of evidence in the universe, which point toward the necessity of a transcendent cause or a designer. The claim that God's inference is irrational ignores the fact that it is based on multiple philosophical and empirical considerations that provide a robust, rational foundation. 2. Cosmological evidence and the origin of the universe. One of the most compelling reasons to infer the existence of God is the cosmological evidence surrounding the origin of the universe. The standard Big Bang theory indicates that the universe had a beginning, a singular point at which space, time, matter, and energy came into existence. This has led many philosophers and scientists to ask, what caused the universe to begin? The Kalam cosmological argument summarizes this reasoning. 1. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. 2. The universe began to exist. 3. Therefore, the universe has a cause. This cause, by necessity, must be transcendent, because it brought space, time, and matter into existence. A cause that is outside of space and time is not only plausible but necessary based on the evidence from cosmology. A timeless, spaceless, immaterial, and powerful cause is strongly consistent with the concept of God. Critics often claim that such arguments are not scientific because they cannot be tested like physical hypotheses. However, the inference to a transcendent cause is not an arbitrary leap of faith. It is based on the best available scientific and philosophical understanding of the universe's origin. In this sense, the inference to God is rational and built on cosmological evidence, even if the existence of God is not testable in a laboratory setting. 3. Fine-tuning of the universe. Another line of evidence supporting the inference to God's existence is the fine-tuning of the universe. Scientists have discovered that the physical constants of the universe, such as the strength of gravity, the cosmological constant, and the electromagnetic force, are finely tuned to an extraordinary degree. If any of these constants were even slightly different, the universe would not be able to support life. The fine-tuning argument posits that 1. The fine-tuning of the universe is either due to physical necessity, chance, or design. 2. It is not due to physical necessity, since the constants could have been different, or chance, since the odds are astronomically low. 3. Therefore, the fine-tuning is best explained by design. The inference to a designer is a rational conclusion based on the improbability of chance and the inability of physical necessity to account for the precise tuning of the universe. Atheists might appeal to the multiverse hypothesis, the idea that there are many universes with different constants, but this is purely speculative and lacks empirical evidence. The design hypothesis, on the other hand, provides a coherent explanation for the fine-tuning we observe. Thus, the inference to God is informed by scientific evidence from the fine-tuning of the cosmos and is a rational explanation of the data we have. 4. The nature of consciousness and mind. The existence of consciousness and the mind presents another challenge to atheistic naturalism and supports the inference to God. Despite significant advances in neuroscience, the hard problem of consciousness remains unsolved. How do physical processes in the brain give rise to subjective, first-person experiences like thoughts, emotions, and self-awareness? Materialism, the worldview that only physical matter exists, struggles to account for the qualitative nature of consciousness. While the brain is necessary for consciousness, it does not seem sufficient to explain why and how subjective experiences emerge. Atheism often appeals to physicalism, but this leads to an inadequate understanding of mind and free will. The theistic worldview, on the other hand, posits that consciousness is not reducible to matter alone but is the result of being created by a conscious, personal God. If consciousness is a reflection of God's own nature, then theism provides a coherent explanation for why humans possess minds capable of reason, creativity, and moral awareness. In this sense, the inference to God is a rational response to the mystery of consciousness, something that purely materialistic frameworks have been unable to explain. This makes God's existence a logical conclusion when considering the existence of non-material aspects of human experience. 5. The moral argument and the existence of objective morality. The existence of objective moral values and duties provides another line of evidence for the rationality of belief in God. If God does not exist, then morality is reduced to either subjective opinion or the product of evolutionary processes designed to enhance survival. Under atheism, it becomes difficult to justify why acts like murder, cruelty, or theft are truly wrong rather than just socially disapproved behaviors. The moral argument for God's existence is structured as follows. 1. If God does not exist, objective moral values and duties do not exist. 2. Objective moral values and duties do exist. 3. Therefore, God exists. Atheistic materialism fails to provide an adequate foundation for objective moral values, because moral laws cannot arise from purely physical processes. The existence of real moral obligations, such as the belief that murder is wrong regardless of personal opinion or cultural differences, suggests a moral lawgiver. Theistic belief provides a foundation for morality rooted in God's unchanging nature. The inference to God, in this case, is not based on blind belief but on the reality of moral experience that all humans share. It is both rational and supported by the existence of objective moral values that require a transcendent source. 6. Conclusion. The inference to God is both rational and informed by evidence. The claim that the inference to God is unscientific or irrational fails to account for the many lines of evidence that point to a creator. While God's existence may not be testable in the same way as a scientific hypothesis, the inference to God is grounded in rational, empirical, and philosophical reasoning. Cosmological evidence, the fine-tuning of the universe, the existence of consciousness, and the reality of objective morality all point to the rationality of theistic belief. The inference to God's existence is not an irrational leap of faith but a logical conclusion based on the available evidence. The assertion that belief in God is untested and unsupported ignores the rich intellectual tradition that has explored and defended theism for centuries. Whether through abductive reasoning or through a philosophical examination of the evidence, belief in God remains a rational and compelling worldview. Far from being irrational, the inference to God's existence is one of the most reasonable conclusions one can draw in light of the evidence. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and comment below if you agree or would like to add your thoughts. If you would like me to respond to your comment, please make a level 1 comment directly below the video. I will respond to all polite level 1 comments even if it takes me a while, due to other commitments.